Welcome everyone to a nice little live update, because it's what you subscribe for and we can deliver. So for those who wait for the 1.1 point release to try any series operating system out, that is out today. But before we update this, we also discuss this shortly, because as always there are some cents to give. First of all, there is 5.18, so just to document this history here in T2, of course, just also update and commit this. Welcome everyone, by the way. And then let me add a couple of cents to this. So first of all, I already committed this, not committed, have here some local changes as usual, our lovely chaos all over the place. So 0.17, 0.18. Commit, of course, this being our T2 scripts that make everything super easy, and stuff like this, like editing here the editing the source. Do we even have audio? Editing the source download, checksum, downloading this, whatever, I don't know. Also best with Linux in front of it. And then some random changes. First of all, I know this already because you probably maybe have seen in a live stream recently, build package Linux. First of all, we could check if the Ryzen also, it's Sunday. Wonder, so many people at home that we have so much frame drop from people consuming here our shared coaxial cable, kind of Ethernet internet. Also coffee. So this what happened here? Did not apply because failed in. Okay, this might actually be some script snafu in that. Yeah, this didn't update. It's the fun of packages that have this kind of fixes. So while we built this, did I even, what have I done with my other Firefox OBS? Here, was just in. So my 2 cents, the live stream wouldn't be as much fun if I would not give you my 2 cents to this. And this is not only to only complain here, but well, things are just not 100% totally amazing in Linux land. And when you take here a look at this staging RTL 870, first of all, why do we really have like stable changes in staging when staging is the not as amazing drivers, not yet stable? Do we really need to patch them in the stable series? No, it's maybe patching. And then as earlier patch I sent reducing the stack usage enough to get it below warning limits. It could also, and I could show this was safe, but with GCC plugin, blah blah blah, it's get worse again. Large stack variable in the same function no longer overlap. And yeah, okay. Also amazing kernels, right? Monolithic kernels where you can't have too much stack usage. Also, is the stream, is it getting lowish? Maybe with all the CPU load here. So much to using 16 threads. Not temporarily. Let's only use just like, I don't know, 10 something. Although it's not really on the GPU, but anyway, GPU encoded, not CPU. Anyway, so yeah, staging changes, whatever, whatsoever. But and there you see how bug-free is a monolithic kernel, right? I always say each and every driver can crash stuff here, and yeah, also too high stack can crash then your monolithic kernel, right? Beside in this day and age, we still need to program so and see that we need to watch stack usage, but anyway, your mileage may vary. Also handle empty EOS buffers while streaming, also in staging. staging, replace spin lock protection. Also you see how quality are these drivers in a monolithic kernel where each driver can crash everything here. Plenty of changes, ensure all buffers are returned on disable. Memory leak, yeah, because memory leaks in your monolithic kernel are totally amazing. And staging, make wait events interruptible, killable version of wait event, staging, more staging. It looks like you, by the way, if we commit each and every change from staging to stable, why do we need staging? Why do we need development series? Maybe only focus on the really pressing bugs at hand and maybe not staging. And yeah, speaking about not staging, maybe here VMCI fix integer overflow. VMCI handler, by the way, does it even show here? What would this even be? Is this something of VMware communication interface? Something of that sort. You see all the amazing abbreviations and then you don't even know what this is about. Machine communication. Hey, I'm so close guessing random acronyms. So yeah, in your favorite virtualization solution next to you, fix integer overflow in VMware communication, virtual machine communication interface is something of high-speed interface, yeah. So yeah, that is exactly where you want integer overflows in 2019. Also then revert x86 build move underscore etext to actually end of dot text. And per discussion here, so yeah, amazing, the buff reference commit breaks kernel compilation with all GCC tool change as well as current versions of the gold linker. So yeah, amazing changes, totally stable tested. And not only for the P3, but also, which yes, it is out of tree, game OS out of tree stuff from last live streams. But there you see random changes do not only break SJ Octane or P3 out of tree stuff, but also building with old GCC, old DARE or gold linker, because why not? Fix misuse of device driver API. This patch below follows Allostan's recent patch. Race between disconnect and firmware loading. And so you see, why do I even, so I want like really stable stuff, and not only super really stable, like 99.99%, not like 80% stable. And you see, you would think after 30 years of development that the stables and all the infrastructure is top-notch, rock solid, but yeah, okay, this was staging and this was VMware, but yeah, you would also think that VMware is superly, totally stable after also probably 20 years in business, in the industry, but yeah, integer overflows. More random stuff. Do not call SMP process ID from preemptible during perf session, trying to look at buffers. And so on. There were actually some more interesting stuff. Return error from buffer copy. The buffer copy function allows the caller would ensure correct alignment that the memory copies and so on. Fix removes bug on, always returns the error. Yeah, also bug on is like panic, right? I mean, if you bug on, then it's not so much going on anymore. Certainly reboot worthy. And yeah, also binder, fix memory leak and error path. Yeah, for all the people, we want monolithic kernel for all the high performance because everything is amazing, and I call out joystick drivers and everything else in between can crash your whole operating system then. And yeah, memory leak and error path. So maybe the error path is seldom used, but found 32-byte memory leak, and yeah, 32-byte can leak many often in a multi-gigabyte machine nowadays, but nonetheless, why I even talk about this, another mouse trick, because why should mouses just work when you can do cheap Premax PixArt OEM mice crap that doesn't follow the, maybe even always pull Alienware branded Premax mouses, yeah. And also more staging, because why not? Staging. So there's an end. Anyway, already getting tired. And fix null pointer, dereference and interrupt. Yeah, the most amazing thing to reference, dereference and null pointer and interrupt handler. You have seen yesterday's P3 stream. How's that amazing? It's going, and more staging. Yes, why well, I mean, there are null pointer dereference on interrupt, but yeah, okay, it's in the kernel, but in a way, there you see it as a reason why it's unstable, and yeah, also workaround race condition and work queue. The old commit atomic context bug fixes an atomic issue using work queue for an should make deem engine driver, however, potential race condition. Yeah, you see so many bugs to work around and fix and to make, and also race between disconnected firmware loading. Yeah. Actually, there was here. This is what I wanted to talk about also. So revert serial 8250. You would think 8250 after 40 years this is rock solid. There's nothing to fix anymore. But yeah, revert don't service receive FIFO if interrupts are disabled. Commit 3F26 and so on. Revert commit. Reading LSR unconditionally, but processing the error flag only if UART IR RDE bit was set before IR. Mainly to loss of transmission error information on UARTs where the transmission error flag are cleared by reading the LSR information are lost in case an error is detected right before the read of LSR was processing, e.g. on a UART IIR THRI interrupt. And yeah, so they, even in this day and age for an 8250 serial controller from the end of the 70s or something, even there you see random changes, right? Random changes without, in my opinion, everything would even already, besides, I'm not the greatest fan of monolithic kernels anymore, but then again, if you have a monolithic kernel, like really review everything and think everything through with all your peers and something, because how many times do we see revert here? Also not get revert. Revert staging, revert switch to wait for completion killable staging, revert quit using custom down interruptible, revert x86 build. We had this underscore etext, and I guess this search rep already staging, fix error pass, and revert. Yeah, so in this day and age, random changes, reverting, and yeah, now that is the first .1. Normally I don't test this anymore because back in the day of Rock Linux 20 years ago, we always tested each and every kernel, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't bring any value or whatsoever. Basically, mostly waste of time. This is also why I think we should have one microkernel core interrupt handling, all those core kernel features and modular drivers, and then you would also not constantly need to compile, like yesterday for the PS3 compiling the half of the day. With a monolithic kernel that works and drivers, I would just have to load and reload the driver and not crash the whole kernel. Also, random changes, latest 5.1, 5.2 do not even boot on the PS2 right now, PS3 for whatever random reason. Just to give you a little bit more context and stuff what's going on. So let's suspend this. I guess we can commit this already. Another thing, so Linux, we have a couple of patches which unfortunately do not become less. You see, I've even surface ACPI random change not committed here. It's some local fuss that I'm not even sure it's still needed. But here they, wait a second, if diff config, wait a second, what have I set standard? Are there so many changes on this patch? I didn't even realize this. Because one other random change, you would think these are all the random changes, but no, they even rename the documentation for, I have completely no idea what reason. So we have the set standard patch for set standard compressed init-RDs, because I just love tiny compressed init-RD stuff, and then everything is set standard. So the more than I don't need to care about bzip2 anymore, because bzip2 is mostly just super slow. And set standard is at least, well, compression is also relatively slowish, but at least decompression is super fast, which totally helps. If you imagine you decompress here, the Linux kernel, as we can actually check, that is download mirror Linux 5.2 compressed. So this is 110 megabyte, yeah, 106 megabyte, and compressing to, was it nearly a gigabyte or something, I guess, in the meantime. And decompressing this takes quite some time, and this is really noticeable if you build like something like T2, and then this decompression may take even on, especially as maybe decompression was never parallel. There were some multi-threaded versions of setlib and bzip2 and stuff, but maybe not decompression or whatever. Anyway, this can take a minute or two depending on you have an old-fashioned yesteryear's Xeon data center or our AMD Ryzen here, and if you the stuff adds up. Also when you test and development, like working on a kernel like PS3 and you do this recurrently, then each time a minute or something. And I slightly wonder though, what is, were there, oh no, somehow I was looking at something else. Anyway, so you see rebasing and rediffing in case of the PS3, I've shown this yesterday, this multi-queue block API changes, which were much larger to change and cut, copy and paste and rediff and such and test. But here the set standard patch, I'm actually surprised the set standard stuff is still not upstream. I reminded them in the meantime like 3 times, the Facebook guys and who came up with this. And if this cannot go upstream, because I wanted to motivate the Linux kernel people that, hello, here are really users and we like it. And this would be really a pain if this eventually doesn't get upstream and we are stuck with our set standard stuff that we want to use. Anyway, so you see, I have totally no idea why the Linux kernel people, you would think there is a limit of renaming random stuff and random changes, but no, they can even randomly change their documentation from .text to .rest. Like, what and why? And seriously, maybe for some text format markdown auto recognition, I have no idea. And also then can you not just leave a .text? I mean, there is really, it's getting silly. And so the only thing in this patch, the set standard patch didn't apply, and then thankfully the only thing I had to do was rename here the patch file name. This I even, fun fact, I hand edit this. I'm not bothering to unpack and extract and apply and edit, and I just edit the text diff file here. This is why the dates didn't change, and here the index didn't change, because I just hand edited this, because why not? We are here fun of keep it stupid, simple and low level. And yeah, so these are all the changes here. Linux kernel, of course, here just the version and stuff. So then we can commit this here for each and everyone using T2 to enjoy. Also another day we still need to bring this to the PS3 and Octane. I hope you learned something and appreciate my 2 cents, and that this is getting, after 20 years on Linux, this is why I'm a little bit losing my faith and something. I think after, you would think it's getting, you know, there are so many 10,000 developers and you would think this is getting more professionalized, but somehow it's like they just do what they want there in renaming and copy and pasting and stuff. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this, hope you learned something, and see you soon for the next videos and live streams to come.